Hello and welcome to the Anomaly Project, the show that looks at all aspects of the paranormal and anomalous world. I'm Marcus Lowth, and joining me as usual is Steve Mera. Now, Steve, this show's going to be a fantastic one. It features a guest that you've done a lot of work with, so I'm sure you're really looking forward to this. So, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing really well, and this show's certainly different than any of the other ones that we've done. I mean, I know I've had many requests from people asking about, how Don is, where is he, what's he doing, those sort of things. And yeah, it's been a journey. It's been over 10 years. We're working very closely with Don in a very scientific manner. And I think it's really important to say this that the where we are now is so far ahead of the usual game. I mean, it's not ghost busting, it's not ghost hunting. It's scientific, rigorous endeavors. That's the only way I can put it, and that's the only way really anything further can go ahead. Is because we've reached a bar which is miles higher than pretty much anybody else is doing, and it's a bit lonely up there at the top sometimes, isn't it, Don? So but it's what it is interesting is that, the I've witnessed firsthand, and I can say hand on heart, these the incredible experiences that I consider myself lucky to have experienced. So yeah, fascinating. It's going to be a fascinating one.
It really is. As Steve mentioned there, a few people, a few viewers have actually said it'd be great if you guys could get our guest on. So, who we're going to speak with tonight is a paranormal researcher and investigator, Mr. Don Phillips. Now, Don, thank you very much for joining us. How are you doing, first of all?
I'm doing pretty good, and thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Nice. The pleasure is all ours. Now, Don, there's lots to pack in here. So we'll probably start with what is arguably probably one of the most well-known experiences of yours is Becky. This entity that you're in communications with, or you have been. Could you, for the viewers especially, could you tell us a little bit about that, how that came about, and just speak to us about that, Don, if you could.
That's a very little question with a very big answer, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet.
Okay.
The history about me and Becky is in depth on my YouTube channel, which I'm sure you won't mind me mentioning.
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
The short version is I went on to an investigation many years ago. Turned out to be the most haunted residence with the strongest paranormal activity I've ever encountered in residential, and that's where I met Becky. It all started. I felt this female presence, and I said, literally, "Who is that?" And she said, "It's Becky." And I was really impressed because straight off the bat, "It's Becky." Wow. I was on this case it was ongoing for like 3 years. The owner, Gaynor, had a lot of stuff going on. Been in all the tabloids, on the breakfast TV. She was getting mocked by a lot of people for her claims that she was being attacked by a poltergeist and the activity that she was claiming. So I was called in because of who I am, what I do, and my record to see what was going on. So I went around 2 or 3 times, very in-depth interviews before I even agreed to take the case. And it wasn't actually Gaynor that contacted me. It was friends of hers who was really concerned. They'd had the clergy in, they'd had mediums in, they had everything in. Everybody said, okay, it's all fine, it's sorted. And obviously it didn't make any difference. When I got involved and my union developed with Becky, everything got resolved. It was all sorted out. But I stayed in contact. And even now, the place is active. Indeed, it was the first place I took Steve to when I was trying to introduce him to me, knowing he was a staunch skeptic. And that's what I needed, someone to validate. And Steve led me. He didn't know where he was. He's like, what the hell's going on? And that was in the first hour.
Yeah.
But even when Steve was there, it was active. But Steve, you was in on the back end of this. I mean, I dealt with this way before, so it was probably about 20% of what it was when I was actually in the thick of it on this case.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's how I met Becky. Did a couple of experiments. Got Chris French around. Did a couple of experiments. He couldn't explain it. We're talking. It's me and Becky now every day for the last 14 years, and we've done some wondrous, incredible, amazing things that have never been witnessed before.
You're still in communication with Becky today, then, Don, basically. Still, this communication continues.
We talk every single day. Becky, people Oh, Becky's here right now. Actually, take that or leave it. Do what you want with it. But she's here now. So, morning, sweetheart. I mean, it's America, so it's kind of midday. So, wow. That's threw me a little bit now. We've done real-time healing, not suggested, but real-time healing. We've dealt with really bad things. We've demonstrated time and time and time again what is possible. Becky's even diagnosed me with problems and sorted them problems out, which are not small problems, and Patty. And she's averted things that would have happened to me or Patty just by saying, don't do this or do that. I mean, if you want me to go into that later, I can do that. But I'm an integral part of Becky as she is an integral part of me. Now, we'll get into this later, talk on the Netflix show, Unsolved Mysteries. Becky could be a demon and Don's possessed and Becky's living her life through him and everything. And, you know, and then people say, you don't know what you're messing with. No, the situation is this. I'm not messing with anything, but I do know and fully understand exactly what I'm involved in. There's a big difference between a person's perception or what they see from a TV show and a guy that's been living this for 14, nearly 15 years.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it's so done. I just think it's interesting to point out here that, you know, people have a habit of running with a stereotypical answer because of this social conditioning around the subject.
Exactly.
That everybody is, oh, well, if you're communicating and it's part with you and this, that, and the other, then it's got to be something bad. Well, it's actually never been written that way, to be honest with you. No. I mean, you know, it's part in these partnerships have been going on since ancient times. And some of them are very beneficial, some of them maybe not. But at the end of the day, you know, we've got to go off what we know. And I walked into this with completely blind, and I wanted to be like that because there was no prepping of me trying to understand what was going on. It was simply, I have to say what I experienced. And in the years I've worked with Don, 10, 11 years now, I've never seen anything negative. And don't get me wrong, I have dealt with things in the past which are negative, I would say. And boy, the thing when you're dealing with something negative is that they want to be demonstrative. It doesn't take them long to be demonstrative in regarding how they want to be nasty or do certain bad things, you know. But I've never come across anything like this. And of course,
when you say them, you say automatically that's putting everybody as a whole as the same thing. This is not the case with Becky. She's not a them.
No, that's exactly it. And when you go and come into this, and let me just put this out really for people to kind of get an understanding here, is that I'm called out. Okay, I was reluctant. You know, you don't need to go through all this. We talked about this many times. I wasn't really going to get involved. But then, you know what? Don said to me that fell on my ears. You're exactly the person I need. And it was only because of those comments that I ended up going. And I'm so glad I did. I'll never retract from that. Never, ever judge a book by its cover because I fell foul of it. And it's so easy to fall foul of it because there's a lot of dodgy things out there and dodgy people and strange, weird claims which probably aren't true. It's easy to judge a book by its cover, but then just by chance, you're going to miss an opportunity. So I thought, okay, in for a pound, in for a penny, as they say. I did. And I thought, after a short period of time, I'm dealing with a clairvoyant. Oh, hang on a second. No, I'm not. I'm dealing with a clairsentient. It's clairaudient, clairvoyance, clairsentient. Hang on a second. It's clairgosites. It's all of it. But then I thought to myself, well, just at that level, in a parapsychological sense, I think a bit jackpot, basically. I've been in this subject at that time for 31 years. I've hit jackpot. Unknowingly, though, this is the level I was at then. And as time went on, it just got raised and raised and raised. And now I've reached a point where I don't think there's a limitation in regarding what Don and what Becky can do together. Because I've seen it firsthand. I've seen them deal with bad stuff. I've seen them help countless people. I've seen them help people from injuries, psychological problems, trauma. I've seen where he's actually these people have literally, thank God he was there to help, and we have helped a lot of people. Don has, certainly has, and I've been there to witness it. So it seems there's a consistent amount of helping other individuals, and that's what's so surprising. At this point now, I think, I'd be brave to say I don't think there's any limitations. If you put enough time in, I think a lot of things will be very surprisingly, it can even be learnt now at this level of scientific endeavors, what those capabilities can sort of take on.
But jumping back to the suggestion of Becky's a demon, etc., etc. You know what? 3 occasions now, which you're aware of, I've been called in by the clergy to deal with really bad situations people are experiencing in their homes where their things have failed or their efforts have failed. There was the first one, and the other 2 was basically a jump off of the first one because it was by word of mouth over a 12-month period. On all 3 occasions, we ceased the activity and dealt with it, and there was nothing after that. So what I'm saying is, if the clergy are quite happy to have Don Phillips and Becky come and help out, then that's good enough for me, and it should be good enough for a lot of other people. We don't ask for any payment. We don't ask for anything. Becky's never asked for anything in return from me. At the end of the day, we're here to make a difference, okay? For the betterment of others, period. Mm-hmm. And you know what? If that's going to be termed demonic and I'm going to burn in hell, I will wear that. Okay?
Can I ask you, I mean, I don't know if you can answer this, so I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I mean, why you? Why do you think Becky, is chosen or attracted to you? Have you thought about this? What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, my thoughts. I asked her this very question, obviously, as you would. The answer, I not skeptical as such, but Becky never told me anything untrue or remotely untrue. So sometimes she comes back with answers that blow me away, and I'm thinking, well, what does that even mean? When we was recording for the Unsolved Mysteries, they asked me the question. I mean, I don't know what to do with this. She says, that's what God wanted. Okay. That's a big one, but what does that even mean? And what context? And what is God?
Yeah, totally.
Not what is interpreted. It's whatever is interpreted as a consciousness or something. But what do you mean that's what God wanted? And if that was even the case, forgetting God as a label for right now, this thing wanted. There's a lot of people in this world, a lot of people that are better than me. Mm-hmm. A lot of people that live by the Bible, which I don't. Yeah. Am I religious?
No.
In the general context of things? Absolutely not. For the simple reason, I cannot buy into everything in the Bible. I've studied the Bible for many, many years. I found so many loopholes. And I'm not being disrespectful to anyone that follows the Bible, because each to their own. This is my own personal journey. Let's make that clear. Okay. Mm-hmm. When you consider that the story in the Bible has been told 7 times over just right back to Egypt before then, it's the same dates, it's the same thing, it's the same resurrection, the same everything else, and then Christianity comes along and all of a sudden it's Jesus, and this is when this first happened, and you look back and you can go back 1,000 years before then and find exactly the same story. Yeah. Things like that cause me questions, not problems, but questions, because I've always said, whether it's something to do with religion or whether it's my work, me, or even you, Steve, people should question everything. The problem is people don't want to question everything when it comes to religious things, because it will take them out of their comfort zone. They don't want questions. They're happy in their comfort zone. And I'm not saying that religion bullshit or anything by any stretch of imagination, and it doesn't matter if it's Hinduism, Christianity, or whatever, each to their own. But everyone should be on their personal journey. And what I've always said is, personally, I don't think anyone should follow anything blindly. You trace it right back to the beginning, to its roots. That's when you'll start to get an idea of exactly what's been going on, how things have been misinterpreted, manipulated to follow agendas, etc., etc., etc. I'm not anti-religious by any stretch of imagination, but when I look at history and see that religion has caused more wars and more deaths and all the world wars and everything put
Absolutely.
together in the name of religion.
Yeah.
That makes me question, is this a good thing? You know, anything that makes somebody a better person is a good thing.
Yeah.
But it's the way these things are interpreted to fit agendas in lots of different cultures. I have a problem with that. So my basic stance on religion is absolutely fantastic. Fine. Is there a God or something? I've got no question with that. Is it an intelligent consciousness? I have not got a problem with that. Is it a man upstairs? I'm thinking not. This is God's will. And the other thing that we find in this world today is if something good's happened, oh, it was God's will. If something bad happens, nobody wants to mention, well, why didn't God do this and do that? Whether it's floods, whether it's whatever it is, you know, at the end of the day, I don't believe there's any favoritism, whether you're religious or whether you're not. Life is a roll of the dice. And I just think it's important in life, you just be the best person you can be. And then, do you know what? One day we will all find out exactly what is what and what the truth is.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying this to somebody the other day, and he is a religious person, and I was saying, look, I don't believe in the Bible, like you've just been saying, but I do believe in the message from the Bible, in the sense of just be a good person, don't do this. So I get where you're coming from on that.
I'm not saying all the Bible's made up.
No.
There's a lot of truth in the Bible, but it depends how much you want to read into them truths, how much you need to stretch them truths. And at the end of the day, the Bible is literally it's a book of stories by a lot of people over the years that have changed dramatically.
Yeah.
Very true, actually. I mean, why would you? I mean, at the end of the day, I think it is best to, if you're going to be experiencing things and see things which are beyond normal, is to go in completely void of opinion. Leave it at the door, your social conditioning of what you might have learnt in Sunday school. Even, and we've proven this ourselves, myself and Don, even what you think you might have learned in parapsychological departments and previous experiments, leave that at the door as well, because there's inaccuracies, there's all sorts of things, just wrong, inaccurate information. It's going to take you in the wrong direction, you know, and we've proven this many times, and we've seen this develop over a period of time into scientific experiments, which kind of proves the point that when we're experiencing, for instance, you know, poltergeist phenomena, it's got to always happen around a catalyst. No, it doesn't.
No.
You know, what is poltergeist? Oh, it's just energy. It's not just energy, poltergeist phenomenon. It's an intelligence, you know, not much different than dealing with spirit, to be honest with you. You know, so it's all down to what people have read. Somebody goes and buys a book and they read it and they go, oh yeah, this must be right. And therefore they'll start preaching that's right. And that's my opinion and so on. And you go and tell somebody else. So it carries on. You got these waves of disinformation and inaccuracies over the years, to the point where you just, hang on a second. Well, we now have the opportunity, because I know, and I can never guarantee this with anybody else on the planet, to be honest with you, in all the 41 years I've worked in this field, is a person I can take out and know there will be something happening when we're out there. An absolute guarantee, because of all the things we've done so many different things, Don. There's never has been, and Don will tell you himself, there's never has been a time when there's been nothing. There was always something.
I mean, you know, I mean, respect to teams that go out for hours and hours and hours, and at the end of the night, and they've got to put subtitles on and everything, you know, and trying to get evidence and everything. I mean, literally, any place I go, literally within, well, straight away, 5-10 minutes, boom, it brings everything out. But just get back to what you said about.
But would you attribute that to Becky, Don? Would you attribute that to Becky, or is that something within you, or if you?
I think it's a bit of both. I mean, what really hit me when me and Becky got together, I started going a couple of way out places, and I would get this: "We know who you are." Okay. Well, the only way they're going to know who I am is because of my association with Becky. Because how else would they know? How else? I stand out when I go into a place. If there's 100 people in a room and there's some people there, I'll be the one that stands out. But they are all comfortable to speak to me quite happily and communicate with respect quite happily every single time. But just jumping back to what you said, Steve, about the Sunday school thing, just make it clear. As a little kid, I was bullied. I mean, a little kid, right? All the time. I was a little kid that was used to run out of school early in case the bullies come after me, and run home at dinner time crying to my mum. And I'm talking like 6, 7 years old. I was in fear of my life because you are at that age. You think something really bad's going to happen. And I was walking by this place one day. Oh, hello. There's all these kids there talking to them. Turned to be a Sunday school. So I started going to Sunday school every Sunday. It was great. These people was really nice. We did pictures and learned about Jesus and the whole 9 yards. And I was probably about 7 then, 8, 9, 10, 11. I probably got to about 12. Been going to church. I got even up to when I was 15, I think it was it 15? 14 and 15. I mean, I would have been baptized as a baby. I got confirmed. I was doing the whole church thing. I was totally into this church thing. But you know what the difference is, Steve? I even got my family into the church thing. My dad got confirmed. My mum every Sunday, amen and everything, The difference is I began to question. I began to research. Then I started asking questions.
Oh, no.
And my only answer I ever got was, well, we don't really know, but that's what faith is. Well, no, that doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
So I just asked questions. I started studying the Bible intensely and other cultures and going right back. And over time, let's just say my comfort zone wasn't so comfortable, which is what I was saying earlier. So yeah, my whole opinion of everything is based on research. It's based on my journey. But like I said, at the same time, people that are happy where they are, I'm absolutely fine with that. It's each to their own and their own personal preferences in life. So I just want to make that crystal clear.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, I did the church thing, but like so the difference was I began to ask questions, I began to do the research, and that was before I got anywhere near Becky. I mean, all my stuff started when I was very, very small anyway. I think that was one of the reasons I started kind of, it's a long story. Me, the paranormal supernatural goes right back to when I was about 7 anyway, which I'm not going to get into because your show is not going to be long enough for that. But there's a lot of stuff on my YouTube channels, which I've just mentioned quickly. Don Phillips, YouTube, and the Supernatural Files on YouTube. There's a lot of stuff, history, and everything on there, which will answer a lot of questions. So
I think also just to say, I think what also makes a difference here is that there are psychologists, there are parapsychologists, there are specialists, academics, directors, researchers, investigators who have witnessed all this firsthand themselves. I mean, you don't have to take our word for it. It is what it is, and that's what's so surprising. And it every single time when we introduce somebody to the investigations we were doing, we always knew that there was this. It's a stereotypical response, and it always was. It was just shock. I mean, they were just taken back each and every time, really, Don, weren't they?
Well, the first thing that blew you away is when we was at Gainers, and the very first thing I said, Becky, this is Steve. Can you say hello to Steve? And she went, hi, Steve. You nearly fell out. Your eyes were all over the place, even there with the first thing you ever heard. You was like, what's going on? And then remember, you said, oh, this is my partner, Jackie, and you said, or Jackie said, do you know her surname?
Yeah, can you tell me her surname?
And she did. Was it Hayway or whatever it was?
Yeah, Highway, yeah.
And Jack's like, wow. And obviously we went from there.
Which led us into a blind envelope test, which is a parapsychological test procedure. But I upped the antes because normally it's not as vigorous as this. But I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to go right past all the easy stuff. I'm going to just go for the impossible.
And you were there to break me, Steve. Hold on. Your words I found out afterwards was on the way there. You said to Jackie, I think it was, or was it you? Somebody, I don't know if it was to her that told me or you, but like you'd met me at that point. You'd met my ex-partner Rachel, and you said Don's a really nice guy. I don't want to destroy him, but I'm going to put it out there. That was your intention. And you said to Jackie, "Oh, we're not going to be there long."
Well, do you know what? You had quite a good video presence over the internet of your stuff you'd done for over the years, and I thought, and it's a horrible thing to be. I've changed so much over the years, but at that time it was like, this would be a feather in my cap, I'll be able to suss this guy out. And I did say to Jackie, don't worry, we're only going to be there an hour. I think 12 hours later, I was still there because I was hooked, you know. And the test I did, which is beyond, I'm not aware of anybody who's gone straight to this level of testing on the blind envelope test. It's 3 different envelopes, marked A, marked B, marked C. They are sealed. There are images inside each and every envelope, and you can't see through the envelope because the image is inside another folded piece of paper inside the envelope. I don't know what those images are. They could be any image in the world.
That's a lot.
And not only does it have to pick one of the envelopes out of 1, 2, and 3, or A, B, and C, but then it has to tell me what that picture is. Now, he can't get it from me. I don't know what the picture is. So I'm trying to rule out, is it telepathic? You know, because you got to think like a parapsychologist. So I thought, well, I can't know. In fact, they might have been empty. It might have been a red herring. He might have opened that envelope and there not been anything in there. But he picked out envelope B. He communicated with Becky, and I heard the word, what sounded like kite. He wanted to confirm that word with Becky. Did you say kite? And it was confirmed, and he said envelope B, kite.
Well, I didn't know she said kite or light.
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't know. That's why I
yeah.
said I need to go into the room. Just
I need to
okay.
confirm it.
And I said, "Did you say kite?" And then said, "You've got it." Okay, good enough. That's when I come in confidently, sat down and says, "Envelope B, it's a kite,"
Right.
and you nearly fell out your chair.
And this is all documented and filmed at the time. You know, it was a proper, conducted experiment. And I have to admit, I was blown away. Now, this is a test that is beyond the normal capabilities of an individual with side phenomena, and I thought, wow, if you can do that, and that is what, billions to one? It could be any image. Might not have even been an image in there, to be honest. It's
But have all been
billions.
empty envelopes, all of them.
Yeah, it's got to be billions to
Yeah.
one. I can't even work out the odds to get that right. And that really, it took me a lot to settle with that, to be honest. I'd never
Yeah, but
experienced that
you
before.
trapped me on that though, because I didn't even know we was doing that. This was an investigation at Gainers, and all of a sudden you went, "Oh, Don, I just want to do a little experiment." Why me? I went, "Okay," and that was it. So I didn't even know anything about it.
Well, there was no planning, you see. Yeah.
But you know what? Me and Becky, we go far beyond any of that. If I said to you, one day we need to do that again, do 20 envelopes, do 50 envelopes, it doesn't make any difference.
No, I know.
Have you actually ever met anybody who's got similar experiences to you at this level? I mean, this intensity. Any other paranormal researchers, any experiences? Or so this is completely unique to the best of your knowledge. Then this. Absolutely fascinating. I mean,
as far as I'm concerned, and I've done considerable work in phenomena over the years, and with parapsychological departments and stuff, is that you might have somebody who's pretty good with telepathy, or somebody who was good with remote viewing. There's several people which were good at remote viewing. You might have just a handful which can do PK. But you will never have an all-rounder. And it's not just an all-round. It's not just about your own psi abilities. It's outside of that as well, because it's involving Becky as well. And even if you just forget Don for a second, what Becky's doing with Don is a whole topic there alone. So when you combine this force together, there's nobody, as far as I'm concerned, I would put money on this. There is nobody on the planet that I'm aware of who can do what I've experienced with Intimacy to do. I've just never come across it, and I know a lot of people and I've had a lot of discussions, and as far as I'm aware, I am still waiting for someone to come forward and say yes, they've got the evidence that there's another person that can do all this.
Don, can I ask you as well, before we look at some of your other cases and some of the things on your YouTube channel? I think it's pretty relevant, this, actually, because it is so unique.
Okay.
Do you ever sit back and think, I wish this had never happened to me? I wish I was never in communication with Becky.
I've said before, the irony of this is I've literally become the very thing I was in search of and that I was studying and investigating.
Right, okay. So it's perfect, basically.
Yeah, it's who I am now. And I honestly couldn't go back to just being a normal person or without Becky. I will confess that, because we are part of each other. I mean, really, is that what you want? But
if this communication suddenly ceased tomorrow, then you'd be at quite a loss, I'm imagining. You know, if for some reason it just stopped.
As I said in the show, if Becky disappeared permanently, that would be half of me gone, because it's who I am now. It's what I do. It's what I'm accustomed to. I mean, you know what? We've healed. I mean, Bob with his heart problem, we dealt with that. The hospital couldn't. I don't know if you're aware of this Cheyenne. Did you know about the dog?
Healings
You
of
heard
dog.
about that
Yeah.
one? Cheyenne had been walking for months on 3 legs with its back rear leg right up here because it couldn't use it. And went to the vet, and I think he suggested it being amputated. The dog will never walk on that leg again, and it's too old for an operation. Jen says to me, because Jen was Bob's wife, who had just done some stuff with his heart, which we monitored in real time, didn't we, on the equipment and everything. So that there again is proof, not just hearsay.
Evidence.
And that's on the channel as well, on my YouTube channel. And she's all, will you and Becky ever go at Cheyenne? And I always said to everybody, you know what? I don't even know how this works, but I'll give it a try. I'm not going to guarantee anything. Within 45 seconds, that dog put its leg down and went walking down the path. And that's on video as well.
Documented.
And then there's Hank's dog that had a stroke.
Yeah.
That's all he was doing all day.
Yeah.
So can I have a look at it, Hank? I picked the dog up, had it for a minute or two, and it was running around playing. And then there's just numerous things. And Tim's dog, which hadn't got long to live. And we did our thing, and it was bounding around like from being lethargic and on its last legs. And this is all, Tim will testify to this, it's on video. After we did what we did, I held the dog for a while, got this blast of energy. It was bounding around like bow, barking and playing. And that dog lasted like, I think it was another 2 years. You know?
I'll just say, if this kind of thing were happening in ancient times, or even hundreds of years ago, we aren't trying to be silly about it. You'd almost be seen as divine, or as a. Do you get what I'm saying?
You know what? I don't want to sound weird, but if this was in the Vatican, they'd be saying, "Wow, that was a miracle."
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
This is the thing. Yeah, okay, to intents and purposes, you can call it a miracle or amazing or whatever, but the thing is, and not for personal benefits, but not me, but what we do should be getting far more attention than what it has done, because this is real. You can't suggest to an animal it's suddenly feeling better. When I was working on Bob, it's important, because I'm very much in psychology as well. It's important you do not say to the client, "Can you feel that? Does that feel better?" Because that's suggestive.
Right.
That could be a placebo.
Yeah.
Bob had to stay in a chair all the time because he risked having a heart attack if he just got up and walked around the yard a couple of times. That's how bad his heart was, articular fibrillation. Okay. After that, all I said is, okay, Bob, I'd like to we monitored everything, his heart, his pulse, it was normal. So I said, I'd like to take a walk around the garden now. And he came back, he said, I feel fantastic. You know, all that's on video. And this is the thing, it's all on video, it's documented.
It is.
But like I said, you can't suggest to an animal, you feel better now, you can walk, try it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And this is important. That is very, very important, because it takes away that skeptical argument about suggestion.
Yeah. I mean, there was even times when, I had to involve other people, because as a scientist, you have to involve other people. You've got to get double tested. So I invited Dr. Robert Young. He was gone. Yeah,
he was gone. Yeah.
He was blown away. And he came with us on a few of the experiments and investigations. Second, there was Nick Kyle, who was at the time the president of the Scottish Society of Psychical Research, and he'd never, in his own words, he'd never quite met anybody like Don. And don't get me wrong, Nick is quite seasoned and done a lot of work over the years in different places, but he hadn't ever seen anybody or come across anybody that looked quite like Don. And you know what? Even my own friend, colleague Barry Fitzgerald, when we did a series of investigations,
he was,
because Barry's very, he's very straight. He said, "Well, Steve, I don't really believe all this sort of thing." I said, "Well, you know what? I have to tell you, I can confirm it is." And he said, "Well, I tell you what, bring him to Ireland. I'll test him." Well, I took him to Ireland. And you can see it in the videos himself, or even in the Unsolved Mysteries. There was a little bits and bobs there, but the work that we conducted in Ireland was significant. And
that was momentous for me, because even I didn't know what was going on.
No, even I didn't.
I mean, when it was happening to me, and I was pulling all this stuff out, and
It was incredible. Absolutely.
I said to you,
shocked.
because he got all this information, and I said, and we're talking, I'm in Ireland, and we're talking about Egypt and artifacts and this and that, just coming out. And I said to you, you know what? If this is wrong, I just can't do what I do anymore, because if I can't believe what I'm getting, because that's the whole thing, you know. I mean, I found human remains all over the place, undocumented. Took me castle. Yeah. I told them there's some human remains there. You know, they found them, and oh my goodness, what was that?
That was the pub. There was the pub in it.
Human remains the one in Northampton.
Yeah,
I actually reported it. I said, Spooky guys are not happy. There's all their remains here. Nobody knows about them. They're not happy. And I actually pointed out the area. Yeah. I said, it's the other side of this wall in the pub.
Yeah.
Dining out, the other side of this wall, there's a lot of dead people's remains. Oh, okay, that's interesting. What happens 2 months later? All of a sudden, there's some structural damage. You have to bring the engineers or dig down to the footage, and they find this big pit of human remains exactly in that spot. So this is all documented.
And Derby Jail as well. Derby Jail, exactly the same thing. Pit of remains. It's covered. And
you know, but me and Becky, we do the 360. You know.
Yeah, the good thing is, though, I mean, you know, there are professionals, academics that will have experienced it and can stand by what they've seen, you know, so, which is good, because I got to some point and I'm thinking to myself, am I going mad here? What? I mean, I'm going to have to get somebody else in, another parapsychologist, somebody else in, because I need them to witness what I'm witnessing here, because I'm going a bit crazy here, you know. And surely enough, they did, one after the other, one by one, you know, and it's good then, because you can sit back and say, well, you know what? We've all experienced it, you know, and it's pretty crazy stuff, to be honest with you.
Well, the first time you actually saw how powerful this energy was at the Tutby Castle, when I drew that energy, and that's the first time you saw it, how powerful it actually is. So if you can imagine that force, that energy directed at a person with specific intent, you can see how that could have a difference. And I was a little bit on the fence about Bob, because this is a person's heart. And I actually said to Becky, you know, should we even try this? Because I don't think I'd have a goddamn heart attack, you know? And she said, yeah, basically. So we did. Again, it's total trust in Becky, unconditional trust.
Can I ask you that? Can I ask you? I'm not sure what your thoughts are on things such as reincarnation and what happens after death, but this connection you have with Becky, do you feel it will go beyond this life? And off the back of that, has it even gone before this life?
I already know it will go beyond, because I've never actually seen. I've seen one time when I lived in the UK, I was in a dart workshop the other end, and I said, well, actually, it was 2 times. One, I was in the kitchen. I said, Becky, will I ever see you? She says, here I am. I said, where? And she says, I'm near the freezer. I can't see it. And I'm there with the night vision camera, and I'm here, I'm there, and I couldn't see a goddamn thing. I couldn't say, I'm here. I can't see you, Becky. So, and that was one time. Another time I was in a workshop, and I said, Becky, try really hard. I want to see you. And it was dark. And in the far end, I saw, would I call it a figure? I've got to be honest. I saw something which was brighter than the rest of the pitch blackness. And it was, let's say, humanoid dimensions, but without actually seeing any detail. Okay. And Becky said that's the closest I've got to actually seeing Becky. So getting back to your thing, will it progress after when I shed the mortal coil? I said, Becky, when will I see you properly? And she went, when you're a spirit. Okay. So that kind of answered that question.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, do you feel?
But I don't lie. I could con people. You know, everything I do, I could say, oh yeah, I can see Becky. Oh, there she is. Oh, she's there. No, I'm an honest guy. I'm not a showman. I haven't got an ego. We work for the betterment of other people. So no, I've never seen Becky properly.
That kind of leads into my next question, actually. Do you feel she has an agenda, even if it's unknown to yourself? Or is this a completely trustful relationship that you've got?
It's both. We've got an agenda right at the start. Okay. So I said, Becky, we need to do something with this. So our agenda, which was launched about 14 years ago, and we're still waiting, is that hopefully that whether it's a TV show or documentaries or something where we can earn a shitload of money, right? And Steve, why would I want to earn a shitload of money? You can tell them that.
Yeah, because he wants to basically help children. That's all the whole point was. And this is what's been said to me right from the beginning.
Hang
And
on, terminally ill and vulnerable children.
terminal ill and
That is,
vulnerable children.
and to make a difference and vulnerable people. That is my whole agenda, and to aid the subject and to bring more understanding about the guys. That's the three reasons that I do this.
Yeah, it's not
That's
about
it.
profit.
Not about personal profiteering.
No.
It's not about ego, showmanship. It's about showing people what's possible.
I mean, I've seen Don travel the breadth and length of the United Kingdom in the middle of the night just to help somebody. He's not being paid. He's not getting expenses. He goes out of pocket on many a times just to try and help people. I've been privy to it. I've seen it, you know, and I've seen people in tears and thanking him, you know. And that to me is soul stirring, you know. If you can do anything in life just to try and help somebody,
make a difference.
it's make a difference.
Leave something behind,
Important.
you know.
Again, I mean, I don't want to keep drawing comparisons back, and I certainly don't wish to paint this in a silly light. But again, those comparisons to at least how the Bible puts Jesus across, it's hard to ignore. You know, if you're doing this and you're helping people, and you know, and they're so overwhelmed with that they move to tears, you know, again, it's just hard to get away from that. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I get a lot.
No ego, but what are your thoughts on that?
I get a lot from what I do, whether it's healing animals, people, helping people. And you said earlier, why do you think Becky chose you? You know, I actually think it's to do with you got to be a specific kind of person.
Okay.
You know, what you say doesn't mean a goddamn thing publicly. It's what's here.
Yeah.
It's a compassion. And I'm no angel, don't get me wrong, you know, but I think it because I'm a specific kind of person, you know. I'm a nice guy. I certainly don't take any shit. But the other side of that is literally just want to help people, make a difference, educate people. And yeah, I was hoping we would have got something off the back of the Netflix, you know, a show or something, because I'm still not giving up on that. I just want to earn money, so I can fulfill the agenda.
Yeah,
it is crazy, isn't it? It's crazy to imagine
money out there.
Yeah, it's crazy to imagine that, you know, when we watch all these television shows, Ghost Hunters, Ghostbusters, and do you know what? Anybody who's seasoned, who's an investigator, you know, they can look at those shows and go, yeah, a little bit dodgy, you know. And there are many of these which are successful and go on from season to season. And you know what? They get a good following. I don't know why, but they seemingly do. But also, they're also not, you know, there are also people out there just do not, can see through the hoax. But it makes good entertainment. But the fact is that it doesn't have to be. The thing is that when we're out there and we're doing the work, there is things happening. There's no having to fake anything. In fact, you know, we don't even turn the lights off. I mean, it's done.
Night vision.
You know,
night vision. I can't even remember the last time I used a night vision. It just,
you know.
I mean, look, do you know what? The documentary made, the book Dale Lodge Uncovered, which again is on my channel. Can you imagine if that was out on mainstream TV? They would have loved that, because the amount of stuff in that, evidential and
crazy.
It's there as it happens.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me, because the only thing I can think back is, if these people really know that he's the real deal, and there's plenty of evidence to support that, I don't know, are they a bit too scared? I just don't get it. It just doesn't. I thought people must be hammering at the door saying, oh my God, I can guarantee that, you know, take Don Phillips with you and you will know. Don't take my word for it. Do it. You know, put the money where your mouth is and take him. And they will come back and they will know for sure, you know, and they will experience what I experienced, and many more people have experienced. That's what doesn't make me sense. But don't get me wrong, there has been some interested parties or a number of well-known big TV shows that have reached out to Don and talked to Don about certain things, haven't they, mate?
I think there's been a couple, to be honest, probably three. But the Skinwalker Ranch, I mean, I was approached. They hadn't even seen the show.
Mm.
Ryan contacted, says, "Oh, Don, seen your stuff, and I think you'd be a really good addition because and we set up this meeting. You can get down and everything, and talk to him, and it would be an exclusive meeting and everything." And I was like, "Okay, yeah," and I can drive down there from here. Nothing.
Don, can I just ask, because you mentioned you've got a lot of evidence. I mean, more so than probably most people. Everyone can stand there and talk, and
Talk means
as long as they
nothing.
want. But yeah, exactly, unless they produce the goods, so to speak, then it just falls on deaf ears. A lot of researchers in the paranormal world, anomalous world, they are scientists and they have done for a long time. That we need to work with science, with mainstream science, and they need to basically, help prove this stuff, define these bizarre events that are happening. Now, it seems to me that you have got this evidence.
Look,
Has anyone
let
from
me
the science
interrupt you.
world ever actually approached you, or would you
Yeah, let
approach
me
them?
tell you something.
Go for
Steve
it.
will tell you. For years in the UK, I was basically challenging anybody, come and get me. You can
Okay.
discredit me, you can shout it from the rooftops, come and find me. Nobody took me up on it.
No.
There was one TV company from London that wanted to do a thing with me and Chris French, the skeptic god. And me and Chris get on great.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got a disused hospital. We'd like you to go in there and do a thing with Chris and blah, 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 as a documentary. Okay, fine. Here's a plan. How about you send Chris into a part of the hospital or room with a voice recorder to ask some questions? This is just part of it, right? 10 minutes, whatever, 20 minutes. Then send him out. And obviously, he's just going to get nothing. And then send me in the same room with the same recorder for the same amount of time and I'll ask questions and let's start there and compare them. But you know what? Out of the blue, after I suggested that, I'm not being a conspiracy theorist, the whole thing got dropped. I was like, what?
It's just
I was filming with Channel 4. They
Right.
came into the workshop after we'd done the shoot, and the skeptics said, fine, the director was there and the cameraman, and can we hear Becky? I said, well, we can try, but it depends on conditions. We went in. I sat in a chair. They was probably about 3 feet in front of me. One sitting down, you one there with the camera. I said, so will we hear Becky? I said, okay, let's try it. And I got my recorder ready. Becky, how about you tell them, first of all, would you tell them, sweetheart, what's your favourite flowers? And I hit record on the recorder, not playback, still recording, straight out of the air, right in front of them. Chrysanthemums. And they actually said to me, did Becky just say chrysanthemums? And I just laughed and went, oh, it sounded like it. I pressed the recorder back and it was there. Then they asked another question. He answered out of the air. These guys are ready for running out of the place. And then the last question, he looked at me and he put his head down and he went, and do you love Becky? And it had this sound connotation to it. And Becky went really loud, this interview is over. Wow. Straight out of the air. And they walked out of that workshop and I said, oh my goodness me. I've got to tell you, Don, we were both scared. We don't know what we've just witnessed, but we was there. We heard Becky. I said, fantastic. Are you going to use that in the documentary that we just shot all day? Oh, absolutely. This is like the golden egg. Fantastic. Yeah. You know what? Didn't even touch it. Didn't get close. It was 2020 Productions in London. Yep. If you want to contact them, see if they've still got that footage and I can have it, that would be fantastic. Because you know what? That right there is the game changer out of the whole documentary.
Right. Why do you think that is, Don? Why do you think that people, is it just, I'm sure you don't think this, but do you think it is just bad coincidence, or do you think there's some kind of higher force?
No, because they don't want it to be too real, because they don't want to scare people. They'd rather be on the fence because it makes it more interesting. Mystery's worth more than fact. Yeah. You know that?
It's true.
When I was on this morning being interviewed, I was on with Philip Schofield and Holly and everything. They actually had me in to investigate the ITV studios for Poltergeist. Remember that, Steve?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we did that. We did that very well, me and Becky. And when we was talking about it on the show the next morning, that morning, They said, but you can't mention the word spirits. What?
It's just like,
and this is what you're up against. Everything seems like it's. You know what? It is what it is. If you're gonna take it, then take it and use it properly. But don't stop moving stuff around and doing stupid things like that. And I couldn't say the word spirits because they didn't want to scare any viewers.
Wow.
But poltergeist is okay.
It's crazy, but I just say that
it's just insane.
If there's anybody who listens to this interview, you can't lose by introducing Don doing something. It's actual, it's gold. It really is, and this is why I don't get it. Don't get it.
What am I doing every time I involve myself in something? What I'm doing every single time is putting my reputation on the line.
Yeah.
Because someone, because if something went tits up, it's like, oh yeah, Donkey, it was rubbish, nothing happened, and blah blah blah. That's never gonna happen. But what I'm saying is, every time I go out and do something, my reputation's on the line publicly, and it's a hard-earned reputation. I've worked so hard over the years to get away from what I call mainstream paranormal. With audio pareidolia, visual pareidolia, and misbeliefs and things like that. It's all about everything, not just being real, but being factually real. That's the thing. If it's too factually real, people don't really want it.
No,
I mean,
very true.
I wanted to do the Skinwalker Ranch because I could have given them more information they've got from any of their high-tech equipment, and not only just give it on, but prove it. Like when we took Castle, there's a pit of human remains here. That's a claim. It means nothing. It's talk. But when you excavate, when you find them, it's like, wow, there really is. How did he know that?
That's
it. Can I ask you, Don, what are your thoughts on what this phenomena is? I mean, is Becky part of this overall phenomena? Is it different entities and energies? Is it just one overall intelligence? And again, I don't mean to be on the spot. I know, especially to give a detailed answer. But what are your thoughts on that kind of thing?
It's all different intel. I mean, I deal with a lot of the guys,
right?
Spooky guys. I have no problem with doing that. Just break that question down again. Sorry, I've lost track. There was
there's kind of two different opinions, I guess, on this, on the connections. Is it one phenomenon basically that's manifesting in different ways, or is it a mechanism, a phenomenon that's a mechanism that allows different energies, entities, intelligences to enter our realm?
No, this is all Becky. It's all. She don't even like the word entity, which I totally understand.
Okay. Apologies for that.
This is about Becky working with and through me.
Okay. And what about other experiences that other paranormal researchers have had? Are they connected somehow? Not directly, but are they experiencing the same phenomenon?
That's their story. That's their story. I hear a lot of stories, and I'm not being disrespectful. But it doesn't matter who's involved or how fantastic the story is. It's a story without evidence.
Okay.
That's what it is. It's a story.
Not have evidence. Yeah.
Humans tell lies. Humans embellish naturally by nature, whether they want to admit it or not.
I've seen things on TV which they're making TV shows out of, which has gone in the bin when it comes to us and the research that we've done and the things that Don's captured. Because everything's got to be so tightly shown to be evidential.
Discarded to do all the way through.
Things have been discarded where TV shows would have made stuff of it.
Oh yeah, they'd have gone, wow, that's amazing. I said, oh, that sounds amazing, or that was amazing. And I also say to Steve, it's a little bit open to interpretation. I'm going to dump it.
Yeah,
I've done so much.
He is actually very cynical of his own work, which is really good. Because he doesn't need to lean over his shoulder and saying, look, watching and considering, is it all evidential and which way to produce this, that, and the other. He doesn't, because he does it himself with his own work. So that's what really was refreshing to me, because he's quite happy to eliminate things and try and rationalize things as best he can, which is I've seen him.
Well, yeah, because if you think the same way as everybody else and you're as keen to believe everything without questioning the same as everybody else, you're the same as that pool of people, and that's not progression.
Absolutely,
that's just basically wishful thinking.
Yeah,
I hosted. They wanted me to come along for stuff to happen, which it did, and this was in the UK at what was he called? A big courthouse thing. And this guy who was hosting the event, I'm not going to mention who they are. He sat in this big chair at the table, and he started making this funny face like he was being possessed because he was sitting in this chair at the table. No, you wasn't. That's wishful thinking. You might think you was or feel something, but you really was not. And I see this a lot, people, they go out on an investigation or something like, and people start talking to them and they're just ignoring them because they've been possessed. That's not how it works. And believe me, I know that is not how it works.
Absolutely.
But they believe that, and I totally believe that they believe that is what is happening, and they're not necessarily trying to fake shit or con people. But no, I'm sorry. I can see things. I know what is possible, what's not, and how things work better than most people. And no, 9 times out of 10, what I see, I just okay.
Well, that kind of leads me.
I'm not being disrespectful. I'm being realistic.
No, absolutely. I mean, it leads me nicely into, we mentioned about your YouTube channel. I know we're kind of approaching the hour mark, but I mean, I wonder if you could talk to us a bit about that, because I mean, I was reading the other day that YouTube, certainly in the United Kingdom anyway, is the second biggest, entertainment channel for people to get their entertainment. So, if you could speak to us a little bit about what's on there, and perhaps the breakthrough that you're looking for might actually come through YouTube. I mean, it's not an impossibility how things are going.
Well, it has done. It hasn't done in the last 14 years, so we'll see what happens. But when I got to America, I said, right, I'm in the right place now.
Okay.
So before I know it, I mean, I did this Netflix thing. They only rang me about a question. Yeah. What do you know about the hitchhiker effect? Started talking to her. She started researching me, spoke to Steve, and then also like, oh, Don, wow, we want to do a whole episode about you on Unsolved Mysteries. Okay. So that took about a year to get going and everything. I thought, well, we might get a little bump off the back of that. Maybe Skinwalker Ranch or Blind Frog Ranch would be fantastic. Get in there, maybe solve some crazy cases of people that have been murdered, suicide. And I thought, wow, the whole thing could open up. And do you know what happened? Do you know what happened?
Oh, no, I don't.
No, end of January, I basically got fired from work as an IT manager because my boss, who, all credit to, is a super, super religious, God-fearing person, super religious, watched the episode on Netflix and the suggestion that Don was possessed by Becky, and then saw the footage from the Tuckley Castle, the energy.
Yeah.
And it was, morning, Don, can I have a word? Yeah, sure. What's up? Today's your last day. I'm letting you go. Solid stone face. And I found out afterwards what it actually was. I was told it's for other reasons, like financial things, but no, that's what it was. So all I've achieved since I've been here is getting fired from work for being who I am.
Unbelievable.
Not exactly the result I was looking. So now I started my own business in April, which is bumping along pretty okay, IT business. But all we need is someone to pick this up and run with it and say, wow, let's get Don and Steve. Let's talk to them about doing a TV pilot episode. Let's put them in Blind Frog Ranch or Skinwalker or somewhere else. Let's see if you pull some information out that's unknown that can be verified. Let's see if you can get phenomena happening live on camera that we've not got to mess around in night vision and suggestive and, oh, did you hear that? And, oh, I can feel this. Because, once they see that, they're just going to say, well, this is absolute dynamite. We've got to go with this. But you know what? It needs somebody to actually pick it up and run with it. Like I said, talk's cheap, but we've got a lot more than talk on our channels and our research and what we've achieved over the last 10, 14 years or whatever. Whether that's going to happen, I don't know. But
I mean, you can see a history of videos throughout the years of Don's work on his, well, he's got 2 YouTube channels, Don Phillips YouTube channel and the Supernatural Files, as you can see behind him on his banner. We also did, for those interested, it wasn't meant to be, but when we went to Seattle to do an investigation, it was filmed, and I have to admit, he did an incredible job. And all I wanted Don to do is document the evidence, because there was just so much going on there, and it ended up a documentary, which is
we just had bits of scrap on a camera.
Yeah.
And I said, I've got to do something with this. And I just made it into a kind of document, Demons in Seattle Uncovered. And it turned out pretty damn good
And that's
considering.
on the Supernatural Files, isn't it, Don, that one?
I think it is. It might be on
Yeah.
the Don Phillips as well. I'm actually thinking of taking all the videos off both channels and put them into one, because it's too much to try and maintain two channels, especially when I'm this busy.
Yeah. Plus his other
But
documentaries that Donny's done himself there, you know, from investigations, which is again, you'll get a tone of the feel when you watch the stuff because it's so evidential of other things that he's done there. And then of course, if anybody wanted to check out the Unsolved Mysteries, it's on Netflix actually at the moment on season 5, episode 2. It's called Paranormal Partner. Suitable title because of Don and Becky's relationship. And that's available to watch actually. That's Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix. And to be honest with you, you know, I said to Don, you know, Unsolved Mysteries, it is the #1 show in this subject. It has been for the last 40 years now, nearly, you know, and they've done a damn good job. And I have to say, they do their work, don't they, Don? They do their research.
They dragged us over and through the cold. They're not interested in hearsay. They're not interested in this. They want to see proof of. And they actually did that. That happened while there was something occurred, and they didn't even use that either. In fact, Bob, the director, he said, "Oh, can I hear Becky?" And this is when we was doing the shoot. I said, "Yeah, if you want to come back at 2:00 in the morning." I just laughed. 2:00 in the morning, there's Bob. Wow, come on in. So he set his camera up. First thing, what's your name? Bob's like this. So they was talking. Bob heard them, and he went away blown away. You know. And you know, this is the thing. And then there's the other thing that I'm going to touch on very briefly. I don't know if you've got a time limit on this show.
No, you've got.
But a more recent development over the last, I think it started 3 years ago, Steve. Yeah. See, what I've been doing with Becky, it's not just like, wow, Don's with Becky and you can do all this stuff. This has been an incremental progression in abilities and strength of those abilities over the years, as you know, Steve.
Yep, absolutely.
With stuff I do now, I do more stuff now than even last time I worked with you, Steve, which will blow your mind. The strength and everything. So the last thing was I started getting these flashes, these like images in my head. And the first time I was just driving down the road, and I'm not going to go heavy into this. I'm going to cut to the punchline in a minute, Steve. And there's a man and woman talking in the kitchen. It lasted about 3, 2, 1 seconds. And I saw it clearly, not over my field of vision because I was driving, but I could see it. And I thought, am I going crazy? What the hell was that? And then it happened again. And then again. And then I saw something that happened when I was with Patty, and we discovered it happened afterwards because we drove past. And then the last one, that's when I realized this was actually a real thing and not just me going crazy. The last thing was I rang Steve up. When was you in hospital? How long ago?
Yeah, I was in hospital about 6 months ago.
Okay, so it was probably about 2 months before that, maybe? Or
about something. 8 months ago.
And I said, Steve, just let you know, I've just had this flash and you was in hospital and you looked how you do now. There wasn't any injuries. You was laying in this bed, in this room, in this position, and the window there was and everything else.
You even described the room, actually.
Yeah. I said, mark it down just out of interest. And next minute, you didn't even realise.
I didn't know. Didn't know anything.
Until I mentioned it. Steve found himself in hospital.
In that very room.
Now, in that room. Yeah. But the thing about that is normally you don't get a room in that hospital, do you?
That's right.
You only got put in that room because of something or other.
Yeah, because of no beds.
So these very rare but occasional flashes where I see something, I don't know how they work, but I know they're a real thing. That's quite scary. It's great, but it's also scary because if ever I saw something involving somebody in an accident or killed, that would worry me a lot.
Yeah.
So
do you think these flashes are connected to Becky, Don, or is this just something else?
I'm assuming so because everything's been incremental. I didn't used to be able to heal animals and do this and this energy thing. Everything's been incremental. Okay, I've been doing it now for a long time. But one thing I do know, I've got stronger and stronger and stronger as time's gone on. I mean, the first thing was the mouse, which was absolutely incredible. That's on my channel as well. I'm not going to go into that story again because of time, but basically put it in my hand and this energy just started. I wasn't planning on doing anything, and it just all. It's a remarkable, intriguing, privileged place to be. I just wished that it got more attention from the right circles, and I was enabled to be able to help people on a bigger scale. In fact, one thing I would love to do, to try, but it'd be very controversial, is if somebody had cancer, to see if it would actually make a difference on that, because I don't know what the limitations are on this thing that I do. Every experiment, every test I've ever tried, it's just worked every time. I always say to people, I can't guarantee anything. I don't know how it works, but every single time it has worked straight off the bat. And, you know, I know it's a big pill to swallow for a lot of people, you know, but.
Well, yeah, absolutely is. But like I said, I don't know if there is. And no limitations. I don't know of any, really.
At the minute, I just feel like mine and Becky's thing is basically being wasted.
Yeah.
You know, even on the Netflix, there was the girl on the railway tracks. Oh, she committed suicide or she murdered. I asked Becky about this, and she gave me some information, quite a lot of information. I relayed this back to Netflix and said, you know what? How about I go down to that place? Oh, Becky even told me something they missed when they were searching for something, and it was behind a big rock down there on the track further down the line. Becky saw that, and she told me, and I told them. I said, how about I go down there and me and Becky just see what we can find out, and then it can be checked and everything, but nothing come of that. So you've got unsolved mysteries. I understand it's unsolved, but given the chance to solve it, because they always say, if you've got any information, if you've got any information, contact. Well, yeah, I can get some information, but I got to get down there first, and I need it to be independently documented, not me making a video.
Yeah.
I mean, I've still got to go back to Santa Cruz because I'm going to be working with the sheriff's department down there. That's supposed to have happened like a year ago, but I've not had a chance because Patty's been ill and everything. But I'm on a case down there in Santa Cruz, the sheriff's department, a couple of missing people, and they came to me. That is on the video on the channel as well. Come and find us. And they are the victims of a serial killer who's currently in jail, who's not actually. Nobody knows that they are his victims.
Okay.
A notorious serial killer in the States. I'm not going to mention any names right now, but this is the sort of things we can get involved in. And like I said, this is my reputation on the line every time.
Yeah.
So
you're also writing a book, Don. You've started.
Yeah, I'm still on chapter 3, Steve.
Yeah, well, you know, it'll get there. But you know what? It'll be worth it to anybody to read this. I absolutely guarantee it. You know, because I think
it's backed up,
you'll probably be one of the most important books you should have in your collection regarding anybody who's interested in this subject. Be honest with you, absolutely vital should be.
Yeah,
you said it, Steve.
I can't wait to see that.
You said it, Steve, before I've written it. Go for it, man.
Don, we're going to have to wrap this up. But I mean, first off, regarding the writing, I mean, I would say at least 75% of writing is thinking about writing, basically. So don't be, beating yourself up about being stuck on chapter 3. I'm sure you're not in your mind.
I'm not stuck. It's a time thing. I mean, I get on average 4.5 hours sleep a night on average, which is not a whole lot. Okay. I've got my business I'm running. Paddy's still really ill. She has been for 18 months. And that's not a thing that me and Becky can do because we kind of know what it is now. So it's a lifelong thing. There's not any cure for it. So I'm not going to go into detail. So my full attention is on Paddy. She needs my help most days. And just time is my worst enemy.
Yeah, totally. Don, can I just ask you before we let you go? And again, I don't mean this to sound trivial or anything. Is Becky still with you there? Has she left? I mean,
24/7. 24/7.
She's literally there with you right now. Is what I'm
24/7.
Okay, perfect. It's been fascinating speaking to you, Don.
I appreciate the opportunity, and like I said, I know it's a hard pill for people to swallow, but they've got to understand that there's a lot in this world that they don't understand. A lot in this world that's still to be learned, particularly from these guys. I mean, Becky diagnoses things for crying out. Oh, have you got another 1 minute?
Yeah,
of course. Yeah,
I know what you're going to say, so it's worth saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So this energy thing, this healing thing, also affects me. Let me tell you, I had Barrett's esophagus. It was a 1 to 5 pre-stage cancer. Mine was a 5. I was supposed to have a scope down every 3 months. I didn't bother, but it was really bad. I was on this medication. I was going to be on the rest of my life and everything. Okay, so that was one thing. Before I come to, I stopped taking the medication. And before I come to the States, I went to the hospital for all sorts, and they wanted to check that. And they said, "Oh, this was the not the general, the general hospital." I said, "Oh, that's highly irregular." I'm like, "Oh God, I'm screwed." I thought they were going to say it'd gone cancer. They said, "We can't find any trace of it." Any trace, and it was very severely damaged. Now it's not. That doesn't repair itself like that.
No.
So that was that. So that was a big cloud gone. And also diabetes. My diabetes just totally went away as well.
Yeah.
They're two pretty major medical things which have now disappeared from me without a trace since I've been.
And any significant illness that comes along, which is going to wipe us out for 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, I think it's a day, really, and then Don's back on his feet with no symptoms. It's just that does surprise me. It's quite remarkable that, and I've seen this. You know, it happens.
I contract things like novavirus, which will knock you out for like a week or two, give you diarrhea, body aches, vomiting all the time. I dealt with it in a day, literally. It was gone. Everything within a day.
Again, those comparisons to ancient writings, they just keep coming up in my mind as I'm listening to you speak. It really fascinates me.
Everything. It will have a pop at me, and I'll feel it. And the novavirus, I got up in the morning. I was throwing up, really projectile. It was horrible, and I got a fever, and stayed away from Paddy and everything. And I said, "It's all right. It'll be gone in a few hours." And she's like, "It was gone. Everything's gone within a few hours." You know,
absolutely.
So I feel very fortunate in a lot of ways. And I don't embellish things. I just tell the truth.
Yeah. I mean, just listen to you speak there, you would think, and I agree with you completely, you would think that people would, sounds a bit brutal or weird, but want to study you and study what you do and your experiences. You really would think that.
On the Netflix thing with the energy, they said, "Oh, maybe they come before they did the show. Oh, we're going to take you and Patty to dinner. Fantastic. Had a nice dinner and everything. And we were talking about this, and said, maybe we should probe you all up when you get these blasts of energy, and then we can measure it." And I was like, fantastic. And I told Stephen, he was excited as well.
That's what we want.
That's what we want. I'm happy to be a guinea pig. I'm not hiding from anybody. You know,
absolutely.
It didn't happen.
Bring it on. Yeah.
Well, we hope that does happen, because I mean, it's been fascinating speaking to you, Don, and I can only think that if that were to happen, the revelations would just be remarkable. So, but thank you for your time, Don. We really do appreciate it.
I really appreciate. First time I met you as well, Marcus. You're a nice guy. So
thank you very much.
Thank you to Steve.
Okay. Absolutely fascinated by what you've said, and thank you guys as always for joining us. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Make sure you check out Don's channels as well, because they're well worth viewing.
Absolutely.
And make sure that you check out the Anomaly Project Podcast.com for further articles, news, and information. Until next time, goodbye and take care.